And we are live here on hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel. I am Andy Saunders, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. Apparently, there's quite a golf tournament going on. If my Twitter is any indication, please don't spoil it here on the panel, as more than one of us are taping it. But while I am on my Twitter waiting for tweets, I was curious as to what is going on, and oh my, you're in for a good one, Chris.
Don't spoil it.
But no spoilers. However, I'm going to introduce the panel here for you. First up, I'm going to introduce once again the returning panelist, Hunter Appler. Thanks for joining us again.
Hi there.
Congratulations on your victories.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to introduce the rest of the panel. First up, Christopher Denault. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations, by the way, on your hole-in-one this week.
Yes, actually I did. That's the biggest thing that happened to me this week. My first one ever, so thanks for reminding me. I was out with my son on Tuesday, 115 yards, 3 bounces, right in the cup. I'm like, this is a good week. I'll remember this. I think I have the ball here. Hold on a second. I think I gotta find it.
So while Chris goes off to find the ball, we've got... You've got it? Okay.
Let me see. I hold it there. There it is.
Nice.
That's the one there. Perfect. Okay.
So the rest of our panel, we've got Dana Thurmond. Thanks for joining us, Dana.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
Also Jim Coder.
Hello. Thanks for the invite.
And David Sena.
Sena.
Sena, sorry. Okay.
No problem. Good to see you all again.
Hey, Dave.
So, I mean, obviously the big news of the week, Hunter, you won 6 games. I mean, I guess my first question to you, straight out, talk us through, I guess, the last 2 questions of your run, I should say. First up, the rigmarole regarding Proust there, and then your final Jeopardy. I mean, how long was the tape delay while they figured out whether what you'd said?
Oh gosh, I feel like it must have been about 10 minutes. For the first 3 or 4 minutes, I wasn't quite sure. They didn't say exactly what was happening. I kind of suspected, but nobody said. And as a little bit of background, well, 2 things. First of all, the disclaimer is as I told you guys a little bit ago, I haven't actually seen my final episode broadcast yet. Obviously, I was there, but work interfered with my watching it, so my memory isn't as fresh for that one as for the other episodes. But I certainly remember that question. It was, you know, I was afraid people were going to think I was being pretentious or showing off, giving the French answer. The truth is, I couldn't remember the English title to save my life, and I've never read the book, but I did study it and read excerpts of it in French class. It was discussed in French, the excerpts were in French, and so that's sort of my first reference point for it is the French title. And of course, once I spat that out, the English title came to me. But I wasn't the one who raised the question to the judges. I kind of wish I could say I had been, you know, but it wasn't. It was probably the contestant's advocate. Thankful to have her there. And yeah, so for a few minutes, I didn't really know what was happening. I guess nobody other than the judges did. And after guessing about 10 minutes, they said that they determined that I'd gotten the French answer out in time, and because that was the original title of the book, of course the book is in French, they were going to give me credit. So that was, you know, I was thrilled, obviously. It was a little unexpected. Again, I didn't raise the question to the judges, but I'm glad somebody did. And then the final Jeopardy question, you know, a lot of people said, what the heck were you doing? Why did you wager 0? And my response, somebody on Reddit asked me this, and I answered, and I'm going to paraphrase my own answer. It was something along the lines of, sometimes the smart bet isn't the right bet, and sometimes the right bet isn't enough to win. I will concede to the Jeopardy theory crafters that maybe it wasn't a smart bet to bet nothing. But I didn't know the answer. I didn't know beforehand I wasn't going to know it, but in fact I didn't know it, and no amount of dollars bet would have changed that. So it was actually the right bet. I was really betting that Liz wouldn't know it, and she's a bright woman, and she did. So I have no regrets about it, but that's what was going through my head. And people also asked, did you think after a few easy Final Jeopardy questions you were due for a hard one? Consciously no, but subconsciously maybe. So it's just the way these things go.
You know, I think it's absolutely fascinating, and again, the fact that you didn't know the answer definitely played into, well, you know what, maybe I was right to have bet nothing, because... And, I mean, obviously, you wouldn't know at the time that, you know, Liz is the kind of player who doesn't seem to get things wrong.
Not yet.
Yeah, I think Christopher and David can attest to the frustration of playing against somebody whose score only goes up.
One direction.
And
Yeah, although I didn't notice at the time, I was just like, I think that's probably conscious of anyone, especially golf players who might be playing certain USA Opens today. You're concerned about your own performance more so than you just consciously kind of bank that, oh, Liz got the answer. Okay, time to get better. So.
Now, were there any other long stoppages in taping this week? Do you guys remember?
Just a couple for rephrasing of certain questions that Alex had to say a second time, but nothing as long as that you know, what Hunter was just talking about, because that was actually a good 10, 12 minutes.
Well, there was a board malfunction after the very first question in the Thursday game.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Remember that, Hunter?
Oh yeah.
I do, because I remember that Maggie had told us beforehand, if there's a board malfunction but you think you can still get the right answer, ring in.
And you did.
And I did. I was fortunate. It was a French one, which was a relatively strong category for me, so I was able to do it. Yeah. But it didn't take that long to get things sorted out. And obviously, as with most malfunctions, the audience at home never knew. But
so what you're saying is, by a board malfunction, Al, you called for the clue. Alex read the clue, but the clue didn't come up on the screen.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah,
so
that was happening a lot in practice too. They were having like malfunctions all day, as I recall.
Huh. I wonder how much, you know, I wonder how much contestants could use that as an excuse if they happen to, you know, maybe stand and stare on a clue that the general public thinks, well, why didn't you know that? So,
True.
by the way, for anyone tuning in, if you do have any questions or comments for the panel, you can tweet them at us using the hashtag JeopardyLivePanel on Twitter. That being said, if your tweet includes U.S. Open spoilers, I'm not going to read them.
Thank you.
Okay, so for all of you who were who remained as challengers and were unable to become Jeopardy champions this week, how tough is it playing, somebody like a Hunter who just keeps winning, or Liz who just again doesn't get things wrong?
Can I feel this one?
Yes. Oh yes, you got to play both of them.
Yes.
That's right.
It was extremely challenging. Double Jeopardy came, and I felt just stunned and blindsided. My sights were focused on taking out Hunter. I thought I did well in the first round, but then the second round, Liz just came up and kept answering and answering and answering, and suddenly, it's 18,000 to 20,000 to less than 10,000.
Yeah, I'm looking at my own notes here, and you did very well in the Jeopardy round. You were hanging right with Liz, and Hunter was in third. But yeah,
I got a little trigger happy on the buzzer in the second round. I was getting locked out. I had the timing down for the two halves of the first round, but then the second round, the flag category, I felt that I knew most, if not all of those, but I was getting trigger happy and locked out and opening the door for somebody else to answer it.
Chris, speaking of buzzer issues, sorry if this is a raw subject, but I mean,
Not really, no.
okay. Much like Jim is talking about, it sounded like you had the buzzer for the first segment of the game, and then something happened.
Well, like in the first round, all three of us were just kind of on our games there, so we're just all fighting for the same questions. I mean, I think we only missed one in that first round entirely. And then as far as the second round, though, we all just got dumb all of a sudden because there's that one Earth Science category that none of us got.
Yeah.
You're a future.
If Jim was there, he might have. Man, he would have cleaned up on that one.
Yeah, I knew every single one of those.
Yeah.
And it was painful to watch that.
Now, did you stay in? Sorry, Jim. Did you stay in the audience and watch that Friday game?
Yes, I did, because there was just one game to go, and I was still a little bit stunned from my game, so I just sat there and watched and wished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, there's questions you're like, I would have got that, would have got that. Like, I've been telling everybody, I wish I had your game instead of mine. Because that would have been better with the categories you had it there. I thought I might have had a better chance at that, like especially with the final.
I think if Chris and I had swished with Jim, it would have been better for all three of us.
The other category I really liked in our last game was the British Monarchs. That's one that I actually feel really comfortable with compared to other categories.
No way.
Definitely the same, yes. I didn't like the categories in the double Jeopardy rounds that I had. Not at all.
So that's my least favorite category of all of them. And as soon as that popped up, it's like, okay, I'm screwed. Not getting that one at all.
Yeah, what is one of the few things I deliberately studied?
It's funny thing is I studied 3 subjects. I studied Shakespeare, nothing popped up. I studied world capitals, nothing popped up. And then I skipped on the royalty, and then sure enough.
You get some of that from Shakespeare, a little bit.
Sometimes, yeah. And also with the world capital,
To a
they
degree.
kept my final in there. They kept the Guatemala in my head, so that helped a little bit. But
I teach British royalty.
oh.
I would have probably run it if I could. If I can get in, it's the buzzer. There's a lot of things that you know, and at home they're like, how come you didn't get that? I'm like, well, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm pushing it.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff you know at home is not the stuff you know in the show.
And that's why
And also, you know,
I see people when they hold the buzzer away like this. It's like they're showing people at home, I'm actually trying to get in.
can you talk about, I guess, a couple people noticed the way you were holding the buzzer, Hunter. Can you talk about what caused you to kind of hold it up and out sort of thing?
Absolutely. It's a very easy answer, which is we were told to be open and notorious about it in the green room. Maggie said, if there's a malfunction and it's not registering on our computers that you're buzzing in, we're trying to buzz in, but we see you clearly pushing the button, we'll know. And if we don't see it clearly, it might take us longer to know. So I took that to heart. I didn't want to take any chances. I was open about it.
Yeah. If there are any, if there's anyone listening in tonight from the most recent Tournament of Champions, I think that comment from Maggie might have been a result of John Schultz's incident in his quarterfinal, where they actually did not notice until his buzzer actually came apart, and the producers noticed. Oh, he's just gone and picked up a piece off the floor, off the studio floor. So that. So I guess that my guess is that has stemmed from that TOC incident. Now, obviously, Dana, you've already mentioned how you didn't really like either or any of your Double Jeopardy categories.
That's true. I knew the Rebel stuff, but the other stuff was kind of a guess.
You obviously got to play both of the daily doubles. Do you want to talk us through those?
Well, the first one, I don't know how I got it. The answer was champion, and I didn't know that. I just called out a word, and it was the right one. And the second one, I got pretty much a lot of flack on the internet because I said hermaphrodite instead of androgynous for David Bowie. I wasn't actually thinking about David Bowie. I forgot that was he was even in the question. I teach mythology and history, and one of the myths that I teach is the myth of Hermes and Aphrodite having a child together, and that's a Greek for male and female in one. And that second part of the question, that's all I focused on. I knew immediately that was the story that I teach a lot, and that's why I said it. If I had stopped, I would have realized it was androgynous instead. But people were pretty mean about that. I got some messages about that, like David Bowie hater. What's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't hate David Bowie. I don't even know, But it was interesting. I got that was probably my worst question.
Well, I think it might have. I mean, it looks to me like that. By my notes, it was the only one you got wrong. So
I got the Knights Templar wrong.
Oh yes, that's right. Oh yeah, I see that now. Okay, yeah.
That was a guess because I wanted to get in the lead. I was not really sure about that one. I knew I wasn't going to make it over Hunter, and I knew he was probably going to get the last question, so I wanted to get over it. In fact, when Final Jeopardy happened, I knew I had lost because the question was about Karl Marx, and that was so easy that I knew he had it, and I knew he had bet it all. So even like before the music began, I was like, I don't have this. I know I didn't win this. So it's not like it was a big surprise. I wish it was something hard that only I knew, something incredibly specific that just me, but I was like, that's too general. That's too easy.
I mean, even with the way the betting worked out, had you both missed it, you still would have, I guess it came down to, does Hunter know the answer? If he does, he wins. If he doesn't, he loses.
Yeah,
but,
that's right. And I knew he did. And he wrote, I know he wrote fast. I could tell his head popped up. And I was like, darn it! No, he knows it. But even the other nights, their Final Jeopardies were pretty easy too, I thought.
Yeah, I noticed as a whole, it was you guys did very well as a whole in Final Jeopardy this week.
I think it was like you had 12 out of 15.
I don't remember if this was cut from the broadcast or not, but Alex was saying these Final Jeopardies are too easy. I don't remember if that was in the show or not.
That was in the show.
That was in the show. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people online said, yeah, Alex, you think?
Yeah, I mean, the only one that was really a struggle was Thursdays, where I think Liz was the only one to get it right.
Oh, the audience, I got it right, but it doesn't count. So.
I struggled with it because I don't think of that book. I wasn't thinking of that book as being written in the late 40s, nor do I think of Humpty Dumpty as originating with Lewis Carroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. There were a lot of people who actually took issue online with a couple of aspects of that final. First up, Jeopardy's basically using the words in and for interchangeably when it comes to when a film won the Academy Award. There were a number of people who were like, well, Hamlet won the Oscar in 1949, not All the King's Men, because the award ceremony was in 1950, for films released in 1949. For the record, by the way, Jim, The Third Man was not a bad guess at all, in my opinion, at least in terms of 1949 films. If you weren't at all, if you didn't know it.
Yeah, I was going by what I had studied for top film throughout history, like the AFI Top 100. But for that question, practically speaking, even if I would have doubled up, I still would have been in third.
Right. Because, of course, Hunter bet the 0.
Yes. But I picked my bet for that, assuming that if I picked my bet, assuming Liz would bet everything, being in second at that point, which she had to, and then what Hunter would have to bet to win by $1.
Yep.
And then I bet the most, that would have left me with more money had they done those bets and been wrong, and I had been right.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess this one is more for David and Chris.
Mhm.
When you saw that Hunter had lost and that you guys got to play against the new champion, Liz, were you happy about this?
Actually, you kind of were a little bit. We're still in the audience. I remember telling people, okay, who's going to take Hunter out? Who's it going to be? And they kept saying, no, Chris, it's going to be you. You're going to be the one to take him.
That's true. No, we had some pact between the three of us. We're like, one of us is getting Hunter. He's a great guy. I had lunch with Hunter. He's a great guy. But we had to get something new started here. And I remember feeling. I remember your wife, Chris, actually, because she was sitting behind my dad, and my dad was sitting with your wife, and she was really excited when Hunter bit the dust. And my dad said, "You know what? This Liz is a tough champion. Be careful what you wish for." And that's a little bit how I was feeling, because that was honestly the Thursday show was one of the, including Jim's play. I mean, Jim, don't beat yourself up. You played very well in that game. It was one of the best games I've seen in my life. And all three deserved to win. And I thought, if someone's good enough to beat Hunter, we might be in some trouble here. I thought, we're all smart, we have a chance, but I was a bit worried. I'm not sure who I would have preferred to face, Liz or Hunter, and or Jim. And I don't know. I kind of felt the same way my dad did. I was like, well, we'll see how it goes, but Hunter got beat by someone who's pretty worthy.
I guess the thing now,
I think that's something.
You want to lose
Go ahead, Chris.
tournament guy.
Sorry, you were saying something, Chris?
Oh, yeah, like you want to tell your friends that whoever beats you, you want them to say, I got to beat by a tournament winner, that kind of thing.
True.
So hoping Liz goes, there 3, 4, 5 games. She won't tell me what she's done. I've tried to ask her. She says, no, I can't tell you. So she's pretty good about it.
So Hunter, now that we know you've won 6, and I guess this ties into our poll of the week question on the JeopardyFan.com a little bit. How do you like your own chances in the Tournament of Champions? By the way, the poll of the week question asking of the 3 Super Champs, Andrew, Buzzy, and Hunter, who do people think has the best chance of winning? So how do you think, what do you think of the what do you think of your chances in the tournament so far?
Well, I'm not going to bet against myself, but I'm not. I've still got some preparation to do. Let's put it that way. And I'm sure everyone else who's going to be there is going to be studying hard and getting themselves in the best intellectual shape they can. And I'm no different. I feel good about it, but I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't come out on top, because it's against some of the best. So no shame losing there.
You'll still win, though.
Well, that's the plan, Dana. Let's be honest. That's what I'm going for.
I hope you win, because then I can say I was beat by the champion tournament winner.
Right.
You and Liz in the final, that'd be perfect. So.
Oh boy, I have nightmares about that.
If Liz makes it, that'd be my consolation prize that I had lost to 2 tournament.
For the record, I believe there has been 1 tournament rematch, rematch of a regular season game at the tournament final. I believe Michael Falk, Vic Vaz, and Bill McDonald, their final back in 2006. And I'm sure if I'm wrong, somebody will correct me on the hashtag, but I'm 90% sure that one was a rematch of of a regular season game somewhere. There were 2 finalists there. We talked about this in the pre-show a little bit, but I'll ask you guys while we're taping about this one. Were there any categories that you would have liked to have seen that you didn't get to see during this week or during your own episode even?
Yep.
Yeah, there's always categories you want to see that like you're in a wheelhouse. Like for me, it would be 80 one-hit wonders. I mean, that's a vanity. And any pops up there, it's all mine. I'll take it.
Yeah. In my audition, I ran the category of He Was President Win, and I pretty much get those. It was just funny because I got He Was British Monarch Win, so I went to that category thinking, oh, it's like a kind of a destiny sort of thing. It didn't work out for me at all. But yeah, if anything having to do with like presidents or presidential terms, that's just something I've always been interested in since I got a book in 2nd grade about presidential facts, and so I guess I was always sort of Jeopardy file. As a result of that, 'cause I always saw them on the show, so that's for me for sure.
What about the rest of you?
I would have liked to have had a science category in my game.
Take ours. We don't want it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Jim. Science category.
No science.
Yep.
No science. No. I would have liked to have the British Monarchs category. My biblical art one was wonderful. That was amazing. And when Zane went right back to it after getting the Judas question, I was like, he went back to it? Yes. Yes. History, literature, film. I would have liked to have some film, older film category. That would have been nice. Yeah. No science. I was praying for no science. No cars. Cars?
Ooh, yeah.
No. I would have just said Prius for everything.
There was a Cars one last week, wasn't there? Yes, there was. There was the car one on the T-Mobile category you got in your game against Tori.
Oh, I
Hunter.
remember that, yeah.
I remember that category name. I don't remember any questions, which means I probably didn't get any right.
I think you got 3 or something. I don't remember for sure. I couldn't see any of the shows this week at all because I was just busy as heck. So I'm kind of speaking from memory, except for my own. So.
Yeah, I think you got. I still have my notes sitting here from last week, but yeah, you got. You did in fact get the 400 and 800 in the T-Mobile category.
I'm remembering the Tesla logo was one of them now, and Taurus. That was the other one I got. Ford Taurus.
Yes. So, Chris, I'll ask you to start off on this one, and then I'll ask the rest of you guys. But you obviously were very worried that your episode was going to be preempted, and it sounds like ABC 7 in Chicago actually did end up airing your episode. So, do you want to talk about?
Yeah, like they usually do. In case something happens in the afternoons, like lately, my station ABC, they picked up some of the Cub games now. So even though they're my favorite team, they still kind of push me out of the main slot. And up until Friday afternoon, they weren't going to show my episode at all. Then at 1 a.m. in the morning. But somebody actually found out on the DVR Thursday. They saw the change actually back in 1 a.m. And they contacted me. Great, because the programming program didn't contact me until Friday afternoon, and I was working a wedding at that point. But lately, Chicago's been preempting a lot of stuff, though. This has been like the 4th time in the past 3 or 4 weeks where they've bumped Jeopardy out for something else. Like they've done a couple of Cubs games and the Muhammad Ali funeral. They bumped up Jeopardy for that as well to cover that live. So it's been out 4 times in the last month. So if somebody else wants to pick up the syndicated rights to Jeopardy in Chicago, I'd be more than happy to see it happen.
So, does that mean you kind of, or at least obviously your friends were able to watch it then? Did you have any sort of a viewing party?
1 o'clock in the morning? Well, yeah, I finally got back to. Yeah, I got back to my. Yeah, I got back from my wedding right around midnight or so, and so I had my parents at home, my kids, so it was like the 5 of us. So better than nothing, I'll say that.
Did any of you, the rest of you, have a viewing party this week? I seem to recall you were at a conference, Jim. Did you get a chance to watch with any of the attendees?
Yes, got a group together. We managed to convince the people at the hotel sports bar to put the game on one of the many televisions with the sound on, and about eight of us, gathered around and watched the episode for a glorious half hour or more.
So that's always nice. Did you guys have a viewing party?
Yeah, I did. But I was worried that it was going to be preempted because the night before it had been preempted. Since I live in Orlando, all the local stations were showing the memorial services. I think in my area it was preempted 3 times this week, 2 or 3 times. So I think only like 2 episodes I got to see, when one of them was mine. So I didn't know until literally the show started whether or not it was going to be preempted. And people came over for the party, so we were all like sitting there holding hands going, come on. But
Yeah.
Go ahead, David.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was working 12-hour days all day last week. I always tell people lawyer stuff, so they know what I mean when I say that. Hunter certainly knows what I mean when I say that. And I barely got home in time to watch my own episode. I think we're going to have like a party in a couple of weeks where I just play it again, but nothing too special.
I was just going to say, I'm from a small town, Mount Airy, and so my streak was kind of the biggest thing going on. And my parents would go to a local bar every night and watch, and sometimes they'd invite people, sometimes people would just kind of, whoever happened to be showing up at the bar. But my mom had the idea that I go back home, which is about a 2-hour drive from where I work, and surprise them that they were going to invite people and have a big party at this bar, and that I should show up and surprise them. So I thought, yeah, I guess I can do that if work cooperates. So I drove up as it were, and I parked in the parking lot, and I see people going in, and I'm tucking behind cars and weaving like a spy because I don't want to give away the surprise that I'm there. But then about, 10 minutes before the episode starts, my mom makes an announcement that there's a special guest, and I think everyone guesses who it's going to be, and so I come up, and it's great. There were probably 70, 75 people there, and it was a lot like my wedding. It was a lot of me smiling and shaking hands and thanking people and not getting time to eat. So I didn't actually have dinner that night because I was too busy. But it was, and that was Wednesday night, so the last night that I was going to be the champion. So that was fun.
Didn't your parents come to the one of the tapings?
Oh yeah, my parents, my brothers, my wife, my aunt. I had a full house there.
I mean, during the actual tapings, though, were your parents in the audience then, or you mentioned that they were there with you, I think?
Oh no, they were all in the audience for the tapings.
Oh, they were. They were all there. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, all the people I just mentioned were all out in California.
Oh, they kept it all secret that long?
Yeah, apparently. I didn't think they had it in them, but they did.
Oh, nice.
So, my next question for everyone: where did you all audition for Jeopardy?
Tampa.
This past time, Tampa. David?
I was in the hotel, the Hilton, where all the contestants stay. It was apparently the room where Ken Jennings was, and I guess they bring that up all the time. So.
Sorry, my battery's about to die. I have to go plug it in.
Okay.
My messy house. Don't look.
Okay, so now we gotta go watch now.
Feelings.
Yes.
I was in Savannah, Georgia, which was great because we could make it a little bit of a mini vacation when I did my audition. So.
With me, it was in Chicago, and actually during my audition, there was a local show called Windy City Live, and they had their like a little basic morning talk show, and they had their 3 hosts come in and do the whole audition process as well. But actually, the first time I saw myself was on TV, it was in the background of that show. So it was kind of fun.
I auditioned in Philadelphia in October 2014, so a long time ago. It was actually almost about the time out of the contestant pool. But when I went down, I managed to double it up with a business trip down there to make travel easier, so it worked out.
How many times has each person auditioned? Like for me, it was the first time, so I lucked out the first one.
It was my third one on the internet, but it's my first one going there.
Mm-hmm.
First in person for me, I long lost count for the online test.
Yeah, I think I did 3 online tests before it came through.
Yeah, first online, first in person for me.
I knew I did really well in this online test. Like the others, I was like, but this one, I knew I answered like most of them, I think.
This was my second for both. Second online, second in person.
Wow.
Both in Los Angeles?
No, the first one was in Baltimore when I was in law school. Actually, they rescheduled it because I couldn't make it for the first one, and they just had me come to the next one. I'm sure everyone agrees. The contestant coordination crew is awesome. They're just really, really nice. Very, very considerate of what you guys are going through. They treat you like the star, except even though maybe Mr. Trebek is the star, it's really, really quite nice.
I will say that's not the first time I've heard that. Generally the contestants are very complimentary of the staff. Even I would say the auditions are a great experience for, I would say, most everyone who goes through. I know sometimes in my position as live panel host, I hear some horror stories, as they were, for other shows' audition processes. I won't name any names here, but sometimes, I guess contestants aren't treated as well as Jeopardy. I guess the Jeopardy process, or even the Jeopardy taping experience is very, is very positive for people, and I think that just goes to show what a class organization Jeopardy of making, making the experience a positive one for everyone.
Yeah, even when you finally got to the studio itself, I mean, they made you feel so totally at ease. I mean, you're just ready to play. I mean, Maggie, Glenn, the sound guy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, I was chatting with the sound guy about what kind of microphone he's using, since I'm a videographer, so we were chatting about that for 5 minutes. So they're all really great, though. I think Maggie, she probably has like a friends list, like 10,000 long. He's like, good. I actually asked them, next time they come to Chicago, I just wanted to say hi to them and hang out with them for a while, but I don't know if I could do that. Is there any kind of regulations to get that? Being an ex-contestant?
I know that it's interesting. At my audition, Glenn was talking about how much the contestant staff would love to go out to O'Brien's in Santa Monica for their trivia night, and essentially they said that they wouldn't be allowed to because of I guess it might it might do things to eligibility of either people who are in the contestant pool or returning for tournaments of alumni. So.
Like the received look of like favoritism if they met somebody at a pub quiz or something.
Yeah.
I'll play that audition. I see. Yeah.
Well, it's such a funny thing that that television trivia shows are governed by federal law. And after the quiz show stands at 21, it's just such a strange notion that somehow there's laws regarding TV quiz shows. But obviously, again, history is fascinating. But that's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously, you can speak to the fact that contestant selection and question selection are independent and random, which, of course, leads to attorneys getting daily doubles when the category is the law.
It happens. It happens. Or, or thinking of Stu, helicopter pilots having questions about helicopters for Final Jeopardy.
Yeah, sorry, I just want. Okay, great. We can. I was just hoping that you were going to be talk there, David, and it looks like we can hear you. Great. So yeah, continue.
I was going to say, yeah, my most common question asked is, what did they give you any workbooks to study from? And yeah, that's like, no, believe it or not, it actually is completely.
Where's mine? It was there somewhere. I lost it.
Nope.
Mine was called J Archive. That was my study guide.
J Archive, yes, I would say that J Archive is definitely the universal study guide, and
I think I used a Sporkle. I did a ton of Sporkle quizzes on the way over there.
Huh.
I think Jason Sterlacki would will appreciate the shout out to Sporkle. I believe he's an editor over there. So.
Yeah, a lot of the geography quizzes on that one. A lot of those.
I learned the African capitals, but that didn't do me any good. I have now forgotten them.
So, I'm just going to ask you guys, how many games do you guys hope Liz wins? Obviously, you've seen her win her first two. Obviously, she's being very mum with you guys about her results. So, how many games do you hope she wins?
I like to see 5 for sure. That way, she's in the TOC no matter what. I know if she won 4, I think it's borderline right now. So 4 or 5 would be good. I'd say 5 for sure. I'll be happy.
She was nice, so I'm okay with her winning a lot.
Oh yeah, me too. I mean, there was not a single mean person in our entire group. We were great.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, same.
David.
Let's see her win as much as she can. 10 game. I mean, like I said, we want to see Hunter and Liz. I'd love to see that rematch. Man, it was such a good game on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Be great must-see TV on the TOC.
Mm-hmm. That'd be nice. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have mixed opinions about it. Part of me says I'd rather not win that many games because I don't want to have a rematch with her. I don't feel like I need to take down Liz. She did fine, and that's great. And I really don't want to play against her again. The other part of me said I'd like to see her do very well because, as you all have said, there's some consolation in being beaten by someone who goes on to do very well.
Mm-hmm.
But those things, those two warring sides of my psyche aside, I'd like to see her do well because I think she can do it, and I'm always hoping everybody does well. So she's no exception.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jim?
I hope she does well. I hope she makes TOC, and maybe she'll beat out Julia Collins. I guess we'll have to wait and see how that goes. I'm just hoping I can say that I was up against two real champions.
Now, you were mentioning, Hunter, in the pre-show about there being some sort of story behind going out with cats in your.
That's right.
In your final Jeopardy. So, do you want to talk about the story behind cats?
Sure, and I'm not gonna. I don't remember all the details, so maybe somebody else can help me fill in the ones that I'm missing. It was Maggie was telling us a story in the green room beforehand about I believe it was a celebrity Jeopardy match. And does anyone remember who the player was in that one? I'd been thinking Reggie Jackson, but I can't find any evidence of that.
I thought it was Charles Barkley.
Okay, yeah, maybe so. There's a different Reggie Jackson story. I think he was the Culottes. But yeah, so Charles Barkley. And I think it was Final Jeopardy. The category was something about musicals or Broadway. And the clue, something along the lines of this popular long-running Broadway show is set in a high school in the 1950s. And Charles Barkley, or whoever it was, wrote, "What is cats?" Which, of course, Grease. What is Grease is the correct answer. And Maggie said afterwards she was giving him a good ribbing. Cats? A high school 1950s cats? Really? So Maggie said, if you ever don't know the answer, especially in Final Jeopardy, say, what is cats? So when I saw that Lewis Carroll in the clue, and I knew I didn't know the answer, I said, what is Cheshire Cats? So,
who was it? Oh yes, it was a teachers tournament where Maggie actually got a shout out on the air from one of the. There was an inside joke from the green room that ended up coming up in one of the matches, and Maggie got a shout out on air.
She deserves every shout out she can get. She's worth it.
I remember when they had Maggie last season. Jeopardy did a whole bunch of the live tweeting, or like they were live tweeting, and they brought some of the staff onto the Twitter account. One of them was Maggie, and that entire night basically was pretty much just former contestants, flooding Jeopardy with messages saying how much they all loved her. So.
Yeah.
I presume David will be back in just a little bit. I think he was having some technical issues, so I hope he's just reconnecting at this point. So my next question. Sorry, go ahead.
Hunter will buy him a new computer. He can afford it. So.
Oh, I think he's coming right back.
Oh, there he goes. Okay, good.
I think he's coming right back. I hope so. So for my question for the panel. Yep, welcome back. Can you hear us, David?
Now I can. Yeah, it was weird. I'm not sure what's going on.
Sometimes Hangouts can be unusual at times. In any case, my next question, I'm just about to ask the next question of the entire panel, and it's the one that it's Ben Ingram's favorite question. And some of you will get to answer this. I don't think some of you might not. I don't think you'll be able to, Dana, because I think you probably left before this. But
I went to
obviously. Pardon me?
I went to Knott's Berry Farm right after my game.
Oh, it's a great place.
Yes, I went to ride roller coasters. I was like, I'm not hanging around here.
That's right. It's a little, coasters are a little more calmer than being on a Jeopardy stage, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, yes, so those of you who are still at the studio in between the Wednesday and Thursday games obviously get to eat on Sony's dime at the commissary. So my question for you guys is, what did you guys have for lunch?
Somebody else go?
I think...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I had, the sorriest looking salad in the world. I couldn't eat anything. I think it was like 3 pieces of lettuce, a little bit of corn, and a Coke. That was it. I wish now I would have kept that voucher, because they gave you like a little voucher that you give to the cashier. Since I wasn't eating anything, I should just kept the voucher for like a souvenir. I want to go back and get that thing. But it was cool though. When you finally go to the commissary, they had, other people probably mentioned this before. They have like 2 little tables set up for Jeopardy contestants. And so you wondered what you go there. It was like everybody staring at you. Like, no, they're not staring at you. They've seen contestants come and go, for years, so they can care less who you were. Of course, while we were there, we're doing a little scouting out, trying to see if we know anybody. But no, I was too nervous at that point. I didn't see anybody that I knew. But as far as the meal itself, this tiny little salad, and that was it.
Yeah, actually, that's funny. It was exactly the same for me. A bit of salad and corn and Coke.
That's why we lost. We needed brain food. That wasn't enough brain food.
If salad is better than, what would you rather have, 2 chips or 2 salad pieces?
Like a giant beef stew, so we can find it later on stage.
I had it was a teriyaki glazed salmon as one of the specials that day. It came with noodles. I was able to eat most of the salmon. Took 1 bite of the noodles, and it just killed my appetite. And so that was it. But I do have to laugh. While we were at lunch, Karina came over with a giant bag of Skittles and set it down on the table for all of us. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the last thing I want to eat right now is something with that much sugar. I think we as a group must have touched very little candy in the green room because they kept to push it on us. Meanwhile, we're just drinking the water and eating the food.
Sorry about that.
It's interesting. You're not the first group that Karina has apparently tried to foist lots and lots of candy upon. I seem to recall at one point uttering that if Karina if at such a time I get lucky enough to receive the call to be on the show and I am lucky enough to be there over a lunch break, and Karina actually foists some candy upon contestants, I would take the bait and have some, if only to say that yes, I had some of the candy. So, but
I had plenty of the water. I had about 8 bottles of water, so I was good.
You know, it's funny, you guys talking just having the salad and really eating it. That was my answer when asked the same question last week, and it's my answer again this week. I had a little bit of salad, barely ate it, no appetite. Only my second day, I'd wised up a little bit and got in some canned soft drinks to take back to my family afterwards. So get the full use of that $12 voucher.
Yeah, you're right.
They had candy in the break room, the green room. So I loaded up my bag beforehand. I didn't win money, but I did get to bring home a lot of Reese's.
I just took the Jeopardy pins. That's all I did.
now, another question that I've started to ask of my entire panels. Sarah Edwards was on a few weeks back, and she asked a question in the kind of the open session I asked at the end of the rest of the panel. What caused you to fall in love with Jeopardy? So I guess, I mean, obviously Jeopardy's been on for a very long time, so I'll ask of you guys, what caused each of you to fall in love with Jeopardy?
Ladies first.
Okay. Well, when I was a kid, I would go to my grandma's house, usually on Friday afternoons, and we would all watch Jeopardy and have Domino's pizza. It was very specific. And that's what I did every single week. And my grandmother kept saying, one day you're going to be on there because you're smart too. And I'm like 5. But she was like, I want to see you on it someday. So when I got older, I was like, I've got to audition for this. So that's how I got on there.
So did your grandmother get to see you?
No, she passed away a few years ago. Which
I'm
I wish
sorry.
she would have, though. But that's one of the... I told Alex that at the end of the show. He was asking me... he said I did a good job, and I was like, I just wish she had been here to see that because that's what she wanted from when I was really little. So she also said I was going to be on Star Trek someday too because we used to watch that. So I have to do that one as well.
There's still time.
There's still time, and they're still
There's a
making
new
more of
one
them.
coming next year, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone out there sees this, call me.
Okay, so the rest of you, Jim, I think you may have to leave in a couple minutes, so I'll get you to give your answer to this one. What caused you to fall in love with Jeopardy?
Jeopardy is just one of those pop culture things that has always been there. I mean, I've always loved trivia, and it's just a natural fit. And I think Jeopardy's place in pop culture is what really made it stick with me. Watching Will Ferrell and Daryl Hammond bicker at midnight on Saturday nights contributed a lot to it. And when Trebek shaved his mustache for the first time, the amount of news that made, and going to college, watching it with friends, started taking the online test as soon as I was eligible, and years later got on the show.
Okay.
Oh, for me, I guess I'll go next. For me, I got to give a shout out to my dad on Father's Day. Growing up, we loved playing board games, and he did tons of crossword puzzles. So that's where my trivial mind started going to work on that thing. But we always did tons of board games, and then we finally started moving into more like the Trivial Pursuit type stuff. Until I memorized all the cards in Trivial Pursuit, I didn't tell anybody that. And then at that point, they didn't want to play against me, so I had to kind of go out there and find something else to do. And that's when I started finding like the pub quiz crowds, which I've been playing for 15 years now. I love doing that. So, but it started with Dad. So Father's Day, thanks, Dad.
And you, David?
Well, my love for Jeopardy pretty much started with my aunt and grandma. They have both passed recently, but that and baseball, and I'm so glad I got the Dodgers one because everyone would have killed me if I didn't. Those are my, those are the things they love to do, and I used to go and watch it with them. I mean, they had it was funny. My grandma had a conspiracy theory that Pat Sajak has some way to control the wheel for women that he likes and things like that. Just really fun memories and good stuff watching the show then. I used to think that just by reading Final Jeopardy, the clue, that means I got the answer right. So just by reading it out loud to them, and they said, "Oh, good job, you got it right." And just for me, it was just such a formative childhood experience for me with very close relatives and stuff. And it's always been something I've wanted to do since that time when I was like 6 or something. So I'm very pleased I did get that chance. I know they were watching me wherever they were, and so yeah, that's where it started really. It's my aunt and grandma.
I've really enjoyed all those stories this week. I guess I would probably be remiss on this Father's Day also to not give a shout out to my own father again, who is much like many of you and many of our other viewers, the reason why I got into Jeopardy. He was a stay-at-home father, raising myself, my brother, and he would watch Jeopardy, and so I've from since I was a toddler, I was exposed to Jeopardy, and I think I definitely have him to thank for my interest and my love of trivia, and I think that's really all I can say is that it's, I guess, a lot of things have my father to thank. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Huh. Okay. So moving on.
I'm sorry. I'm glad you mentioned the stay-at-home dad thing, since I am one myself. Yeah. And then my dad, being a firefighter, he'd be home every 2 days. Like one day, 24 hours straight, and the next 2 days he'd be at home. So that's kind of the same kind of story. We'd sit home and watch Jeopardy, of course.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to think if I've got any Yeah, one thing I did notice, you guys had quite, and you guys even mentioned this briefly on tonight's panel. Your entire taping group seemed to get along so well, and
yeah.
It wasn't like Real Housewives of Atlanta or something. Everybody.
Like even when I was like joshing, like who's taking Hunter down, he's still such a nice guy though.
Yeah, I know.
You can't be mad at him for beating everybody.
Yeah.
Liz too. She's way too nice.
I would like to thank Christopher for helping to gel us all together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually got a good idea from Jennifer Morrow, who's probably been on this a couple times.
Yes, she has.
Yeah, she gave me some great advice before I went on the show, and she mentioned get everybody's email addresses, while you're there, so you guys can keep in touch and chat with each other, because you can't say anything about the game is when you come home. So it's a great spot to just vent if you have to, and just talk about how the process is going since you've run from the taping up until the air date.
Yeah.
So that was great advice from her.
Yeah. I'm glad that, Hunter was nice and not a jerk, because I would hate to lose. That would have been bad. I would have probably tripped him going down the stage. But when it came on, all my friends started hissing whenever his face popped up. Sorry, but they did. And I was like, don't hiss at him. He's not bad, I promise. And they're like, yes, but he's the reason we're not having a big party. I'm like, yeah, but it's okay. It's really okay. It's not bad.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I ended up doing that a lot, sort of defending my competitors to my friends. Like, no, don't hate on them. Don't boo. Don't hiss. They're good people.
Yeah.
Especially when I would get a question wrong and they would get it right. I said, no, she knew the answer. Good for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're a different class of contestants. Jeopardy's got always the high class. Mm-hmm. They're the gold standard, and they always will be.
Yep. I mean, sometimes a bad apple or two gets in there, but often, again, the Jeopardy family, as it were, is incredibly high class, and it's I think it's great, and I also think it's great how a lot of the contestants kind of have each other's backs online now, and
yeah.
I think it's to be honest, I think that has at least caused some maybe some comments that might have been said about people maybe 6-12 months ago on the internet. Maybe people are thinking twice before they say them now, and just because people are realizing that if you say something bad, you're probably going to get like 6 or 7 Jeopardy contestants, being like, well, why are you saying that? They're a nice person, and
That's true. I will definitely go through and defend Jeopardy contestants, especially if someone's making fun of the way they look. Because I'm like, you're not up there. You don't
yeah.
judge people by how they look. And I go through and I flag and report all the comments. So.
Yeah, even with contestants that I met, like I mentioned before, between the taping and the air date, I went to a couple of Quiz Bowl events in Chicago, and running into people like Ben Ingram and Alex Jacob and Kristen Sauceville, and they just brought you in as part of their family. They didn't were like, oh, who's this person? You probably won one game or something. He's a nobody. They brought you right in. I mean, it's all one big family, which is great. Great.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, I have. This is when I open up the floor to if you've got any questions for anyone else on the panel itself.
Hunter needs to buy us all drinks, I think, at some point. One thing I forgot to ask everybody in the green room was, I think everybody was staying at the DoubleTree. I wanted to get everybody together at the end of the night and hang out at the bar or something. I think Jim was probably there. You mentioned you were there for a little bit. I think we just kind of missed paths because I went to the bar at the end of the night and there was nobody else there. So I know I forgot to say that in the green room because I would have loved to do that. Just hang out with everybody and just kind of decompress and just talk about the games in general. That'd have been great. Would have loved that.
I'd like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I popped down there, but it just seemed like we were never there at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have been nice. I was flying out Thursday night, so I'm going to be there, but that would have been nice.
Okay, so when Hunter wins the TLC, he can fly all us back in wherever he's at.
Yes.
That's a deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put that in there right now. Record that.
Oh, it's been recorded. It's been recorded.
Right.
Interestingly, I mean, we've had a few. We've had a constant stream of viewers on the live stream tonight, but nobody's actually tweeted in any questions, which means I hope that means we've done a good job of discussing everything that people want to have discussed. So,
I guess.
any other questions at this point from anyone between panelists?
Do you want to see the Oscar?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Yes, your bird, right?
Oh.
Yeah. He's pretty famous. I got some emails about him.
Oh,
Look at that.
Yeah. And people emailing me, wanting videos of him, wanting hear him talk, wanting me to teach him stuff. So.
The charge. They want to hear him say charge.
Yeah, he won't say anything now because I want him to.
Mm.
He only says things when you don't want him to. So. Anyway, that's him. That's my claim to fame.
Well, it's not a live panel until you put a bird on it. Great. Okay, I got quiet now.
So, thank you. I guess this is probably a good time to end the broadcast for the evening. By the way, in terms of iTunes or Google Play Music, you can subscribe to the audio simulcast of Jeopardy Live Panel, either on iTunes or Google Play Music, or even through whatever. There is an RSS feed for the for whatever podcast app you may choose to utilize, and feel free to subscribe, and you'll obviously get the audio. It usually takes about 12 hours after we finish taping the video for the audio to go up, but feel free to subscribe, and you'll get to hear me talk with Jeopardy contestants each and every week. For everyone here at Jeopardy Live Panel, David, do you have any questions for the rest of us at this point? I think I can hear you, so...
Yeah, I just, as you can see, when I get my check, this computer, as treasured and wonderful as it's been through law school in my first couple of years, yeah, it's got to go. I guess my question would be, how have you guys been dealing, I guess, with the stuff right at the end of your games? I've had like 20,000, not 20,000, 20 or 30 friend requests on Facebook. I've had LinkedIn stuff. It's been like people I've never heard of. It just seems like it's sort of like it's more like 150 minutes of fame as opposed to 15. Then after the 150 minutes, it'll go. But I'm curious what kind of stories you've got about internet people coming up to you.
Yeah, it's not bad yet because the few requests I've got there's a couple from other Jeopardy alums, so I bring those in as well, and a couple high school people that I knew, but they're friends of mine anyway that I hadn't found before. So nothing crazy yet, but I'm sure we got time left.
Dana, I'm guessing that from my experience hearing these stories, it sounds like females probably get it a little more than males do. So do you have anything you feel like sharing with the group on this topic?
I had a lot of male friend requests, and then I had friend requests from guys I knew a long time ago that I didn't really like back then, and now they're like, "Hey, remember what we were good friends?" And I'm like, I don't remember that. I did have women. I got a few nasty emails from women that called me some pretty nasty names, and they're like, "Hunter's hot. Don't." And you were like stealing him. And I'm like, what? There's some weird. It was strange. There was some stuff, and I think they were jealous of me for standing next to you.
Wow.
I know, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go.
Oh boy.
I'm just gonna log off. Too much internet today.
Hunter, since you've won a little bit now, are you getting some kind of weird requests for the monetary stuff and can help a brother out, that kind of thing?
No, I should knock on some wood. I haven't gotten that yet, aside from people at work who think they're funny. But really, I've gotten so. I was not really into Facebook before this all started, and I don't know if it's going to last, my Facebook participation. It's just not really my thing. But part of that is I don't really know the etiquette. I don't know the norms. I just have been accepting every friend request that's come my way, and by and large that hasn't had any negative impact. I did take one friend request who then started posting porn on my timeline, I think, and my wife assures me it was private. It was set to private, so nobody saw it. But I was not a happy camper when that happened. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe I should screen these things more carefully. But on the other hand, I don't want to be, accepting requests from some people and not from other people when they are equally anonymous to me. I don't have any idea who these people are. So yeah, I'm still navigating that.
Well, that's the first time I've heard that sort of story out of someone about the about friend request. Oh, and here's a whole bunch of porn now. Okay.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the person who did that wasn't a person at all. It was some kind of a bot. I don't know if there was any human being behind it, but still, it was obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions in amongst panelists?
I'll toss one out. As far as other game shows you want to appear on, or could we mention that? Since this is a Jeopardy panel, could we mention other shows that we're looking to be on?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Like I tried out, 3 or 4 times for Millionaire and got to like the second interview phase a couple times, but that's as far as it got. And there was a show back called what was that? World Series of Pop Culture. It was actually on VH1.
Yes.
Me and 2 friends of ours, we just completely aced the quiz. It was the piece of cake. That's the stuff I love. What they call the trash stuff. The pop culture. Mm-hmm. That's my bread and butter. But I guess we were too normal though, because after the interview phase, we were like, okay, thanks for coming, and that was it. And the people that do make it on the show, they're more outgoing and weird, and had a certain kind of gimmick to get on the show. So those are the other 2 shows that I've tried out for. I came close in both of those. But anybody else have come close?
I tried out for Duel a few years ago. I got to the second rounds, and it was but I didn't get picked for the very last one. I knew all the answers to the questions, but I think the interview process I went completely insane on because I was nervous and I was very young, and I started getting very excited and talking fast and saying some
That's me all the time.
yeah. But I'd love to be on anything else. Flavor of Love, anything. I don't.
What about you, David? Have you tried it for anything else?
What's funny is the question that Alex asked me was that I was voted most likely to be on a reality TV show, and I'm still not quite sure where that came from, and but he decided to ask that. So no, I have not tried for any reality TV shows. In fact, I hate reality TV shows. But I think in the future, this is such a fun experience. I'd like to try Wheel of Fortune. I wanted to do Smarter Than a Fifth Grader. I never, for some reason, it just didn't happen. But I think all Jeopardy people want to do that show. And then I think I really like that show, 500 Questions, from a couple of weeks ago. I see that as like a second breath of life for any Jeopardy contestant, especially when there's no buzzer and things like that. And I think that would be a lot of fun to go on if they end up syndicating that. In fact, the guy who won the most money finished in third in Final Jeopardy. I think everybody here had a higher score than that guy. So it's very interesting how much luck is involved sometimes in Jeopardy as well.
Yeah.
That's like kind of nice thing about being Jeopardy contestants and Maggie, the whole experience. I mean, she picks you for who you are, not for who you think you can be, and try to be introverted or extroverted or whatever. Because there was somebody in my audition group who wanted to twerk in front of her just to get on, and she's like, "No, we don't any of that." Oh my gosh. People try to say these things.
Was it a male or female?
Male. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's going to be out there and says, "This is what I can do for you," and she's like, "Nope, cut that off right now." She's able to see through all that BS and pick people that she thought could do great on the show, and for our group, she did. She knocked out of the park with us.
You can tell the fakes at the auditions. You can tell the ones who are just there for fame, and you can tell the ones who are there for the game. You can quote me. That's a good quote.
And I would also say the contestant coordinators are very good at being able to tell one from the other too. So.
Yep, they've done this for how many years now? They've been doing this. I mean, Maggie works on this in addition to. Does she do Wheel as well? Is there some cross pollination between the two on those?
I'm not entirely sure.
I think there's one or two, maybe Karina or somebody else actually works on both shows as a coordinator.
Yeah.
So maybe the ones that get rejected for Jeopardy go on Wheel.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Mark Dawson was on here and was telling a story about how Maggie did classic concentration back in the 80s as well.
Yeah, okay.
That's I believe because I think he remembers Maggie from his classic concentration experience back in the 80s. Any other questions at this point?
I'm sure as soon as we're finished, I'll have 10 more. I'm like, oh wait, hold on, one more.
Well, at this point, I hear crickets. So, in that case, I'd like to thank you guys for coming on tonight. Also, thank you for those of you who are tuning in and listening, or who even watch or listen later on. So, thank you all very much. If you're listening on audio, you'll start to hear the credits in just a little bit. In any case, Chris, all I'm going to say, enjoy the golf. It's going to be fun.
Can't be as good as this. This is as good as it gets right here. Can't beat that. That was. Oh, I love that. And my son was there too at the same time, so it's hard to say which was more fun, Jeopardy or the whole one. They're both right about there.
Well, the question is how many adults were in the clubhouse where you had to buy around for everyone? I'm
glad you mentioned that. This is actually a youth links. So when I walked in, there was like a bunch of 10-year-olds. I couldn't buy them all beer. Everybody keeps asking that same question: how many beers did you buy? It's like, oh, if I did that, I'd be in trouble. So it was 115 yards. Still counts. But it's a youth links course in Winfield, Illinois, Cantini Golf Links. So it still counts.
Well, so once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. The next episode is going to be airing next Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on thejeopardyfan.com. So thank you guys, and have a great night.